Hey everyone, just before we start the podcast this week, I just wanted to say sorry we didn't put one out last week. We're starting uni break at the moment, and for the next month and a bit, we're going to drop down to once a fortnight episode releases. So they're going to be hopefully slightly longer formats, but yeah, we're just getting a little bit busy throughout these holidays. So as soon as uni starts back up, we'll go back to once a week. But yeah, just thought I'd mention that before we start this week. Thanks, guys. Catch you on the podcast. Hello, welcome back to Tech Type Podcast. My name is Simeon.
Hey, it's Ben.
And I'm Dale.
So the new PlayStation 5 has been announced, along with a couple of months after the Xbox Series X. What do you guys think about it?
It's look pretty controversial. I'll say that much.
Yeah, what do you mean controversial?
Design.
The design's pretty out there compared to the Xbox.
Yeah, it's definitely a look. How would you describe the look of the PlayStation?
I'd say it's pretty out of this world.
Yeah, a lot of sharp edges, a lot of bits of plastic sticking out. Yeah, lots of curves. Very reminds you a little bit of a Lamborghini. Very, very sharp, pointy. Yeah, just that sort of futuristic-y design.
The main comment I've seen has definitely been it looks like an internet router. But
Wi-Fi router.
That's a very positive outlook of how it
looks.
Whereas
the Xbox, on the other hand, lives up to its name of just a black box, really.
A little bit more conservative.
Yeah, very sleek, very, very nice. But so apparently the PlayStation is going to come out in two models. They're going to have a optical drive one, so you can use physical discs, and they're going to have a internet-only one. I presume the internet-only one will be slightly cheaper, just because it doesn't have to have more components.
It's rumored to be $100 or so US less.
Yeah.
From the CD drive version, which is a pretty huge price cut.
Yeah. I mean, those aren't cheap, those Blu-ray drives, I guess. But also, I mean, you can just sort of bump up the price because it's sort of like...
I think what they've done sort of is... if you take away that CD drive, you force people to buy off of the PlayStation Store, which is where they'll be getting a lot of their money back. That PlayStation Store can get really expensive for games if you're just buying off it.
Yeah, and especially if you're not buying physical discs, it doesn't cost them anything to sell each individual copy of the game on the store.
You would think that it would be cheaper, but the PlayStation Store ends up being one of the most expensive game stores available. It's crazy.
Yeah, and do we have any idea on price for the PlayStation or the Xbox? So,
rumored for the figures I saw for the CD drive PlayStation and the Xbox was around $600 or $700 Australian dollars.
Yeah,
so they're getting up there into like a premium price bracket, but these things are looking like they're going to be performance monsters. They've got really good specs in them, and the PlayStation's been making some pretty big jumps in solid state technology. It's going to be really good for game performance.
Their hard drives have been picking up, have they?
Well, specifically the PlayStation's pretty interesting. They've almost made a completely custom solid state drive. So if you think about your regular PC drive, mostly what you're thinking about when you're buying a hard drive or a solid state is, what are the read and write speeds and how big is it? Those are the two things you think of. But a pretty big component of your hard drive or your solid state drive is the memory controllers. So, and the DRAM cache. So how those sort of work is, they know what the contents of the solid state drive are. And when your computer goes, I need to access this information, it'll be able to point it to the right direction and then draw out that data.
And so it's about speeding up that time. Of
PlayStation has, they've developed their own custom flash controller and their own custom like cache scrubbers and cache, like the DRAM cache, and it's made it ultra efficient. They were talking about transfer speeds of up to 8 or 9 gigabytes per second. So not gigabits.
Yeah, that's fast.
Gigabytes per second.
That's a fair bit quicker than the old few ones.
It's faster than anything available on the market right now. Because it gets rid of all of that, I guess, software bottlenecking. You know, you can have a very quick solid state drive, but if it can't get the correct information to you, it doesn't really matter how quick it is. And it's what's allowing them to do stuff like, you know, sub 1 second loading times for games and
for game levels and stuff.
And loading in information directly off the SSD while a player's in game. There's no loading times, instant data transfer.
Yeah, so we'll just have
it's really, really incredible.
I'm going to look at these spec sheets of both of them. They're both running Core 8 AMD processors. They're both running AMD GPUs, slightly different. The PlayStation is 10.3 teraflops, and the Xbox Series X is 12 teraflops. Is that a big difference when it comes to graphical performance? Like that?
It'll potentially be a little bit.
Teraflops?
I feel like since they're AMD, they're similar parts. I would assume that that's just Microsoft clocking their parts a bit faster.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they're getting better cooling through that box.
Yeah, and what is a teraflop? What is a teraflop, Ben?
What is it?
So your teraflop is just your it's essentially just a measure of performance for your GPU. So obviously your higher numbers better. It's the amount of point calculations it can do in a X amount of time. Yeah,
right. And 16 gigs RAM, both across the board, DDR6, and then similar size hard drives. So the PlayStation is coming at 825 gigs custom solid state. And the Xbox Series X is going for a 1 terabyte custom NVMe solid state drive. Max resolution is up to 8K. So I guess a bit of future proofing there for some of these screens coming out.
Yeah, they're boasting 120 FPS 4K gameplay, which
that's high.
That's really good.
That's really cool. That's quite a high end desktop gaming PCs pushing that these days.
I mean, how much is a 4K 120 hertz monitor? That sounds like something that would cost 10 times what the PlayStation cost.
4K 120 hertz monitor.
Yeah, I mean, 4K TVs and monitors aren't so uncommon now, but bloody hell.
I mean, from Kogan, which is probably the cheapest you're going to find them for 4K. Sorry, that's not 120 hertz, but 4K monitor at 28 inch. I'm not exactly sure on what the resolution, the frame rates are. Oh, this is only 60 and it's $350 Australian. So you kind of, although I guess these are directed more towards televisions, and so they are even more expensive for those high frame rates.
Yeah, TVs can be more or less expensive. But
yeah. Have you got a preference for which one you're going to buy? Are you going to buy any of them, Ben, or?
Look, for me, it really comes down to, and I think this is with a lot of console games, it comes down to where your friends are and what ecosystem they've bought into. So all my friends are on the PlayStation ecosystem, so I would jump that way if I was going to get the new PlayStation. But I've owned an Xbox for ages now, so I have no reservations against either.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Just it's just where my friends play.
I guess as like along with friends where they are, it's sort of there's a couple of exclusive games. So on the Xbox, the big sort of release game is the new Halo.
Infinity.
The Halo Infinite, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
And then the new Spider-Man is the PlayStation 5. Miles Morales is their sort of big leading title.
Oh, is that an exclusive to PlayStation?
Yeah, so that's exclusive to PlayStation. There's a handful of others, Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation side. And
that's a big one.
Yeah, that is big.
That's a big one.
New game. And then there's a handful of others on the Xbox side. But, I mean, that's always been the way, Halo's always been exclusive to Xbox and by extension through Microsoft to PC as well. But do you think these are getting good enough to outperform and sort of warrant gaming desktops, useless? Or do you think there's always going to be a place for gaming desktops?
Oh, there'll always be a place for gaming desktops, but at least right now, from what Epic Games was saying, the PlayStation is the best performing gaming machine on the market, or it will be at least. It's ahead of anything that PC can use, and I don't know if it beats out PC. What? Well, it's cheap. I'm not sure what else it'll be. I think we're going to end up with a couple years or so of lag time for PC to catch up.
The thing about PlayStation and Xbox is, game development is they only have to develop for PlayStations and Xbox hardware. And it's a similar argument with, the Apple developers and this optimization. The optimization for these consoles can be so high. And so, whereas when you're developing for PCs, you've got to develop for everything from 10-year-old graphics performance through to next year's graphic performance, and all this ray tracing, tracing stuff. Do you think that is going to hold back PCs, or going to hold back this? Or
PC's sort of the lagging option at this point. With the new generation, both of these consoles have solid state drives.
Yeah,
not every PC has a solid state drive.
Well, yeah, that's
sort of the that's going to be the thing holding everything back. If you plan on including PC gamers, it might make PC gaming pretty expensive in the near future. But I don't know. There's a few other things sort of announced with these consoles. Like Xbox specifically they have what is it? They're coming out with a subscription service. So
for
it was something like
games.
You pay. Yeah, they didn't announce a price, but you pay for the subscription and you get access to every game on the Xbox market on release day.
Yeah,
which sounds really good.
So they think for
get access to
for the PlayStation Store, which is a similar. They're going to have both
the Microsoft Store,
subscription somewhere between $6 and $10 US, which is similar to a Netflix style subscription, and so I presume there'll be a fair few games bundled in with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be owning the game, which is important to people. That's not something to understate, but bloody hell, $120 a year. That's what in US dollars. That's the price of like 2 games.
Yeah,
you get access to everything.
Yeah,
all the time, anytime you want.
Especially with this sort of internet-only Xbox, that sort of, I mean, the whole owning games is getting a bit sort of grey area anyway. And so... Yeah,
with Steam existing for years and years and years, that's been king for PC.
I mean, you haven't actually held physical discs for PC gaming anyway for a few years now.
Yeah.
Do you guys even have a a DVD drive on your computer? I haven't had one.
No.
I do, but
It feels like a decade.
I have to plug it in manually, so I have to open up my computer and plug it straight into the motherboard.
When was the last time you did that, hey? I wonder what the last issue
Probably
was.
about a year ago.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But I think if I could dive in on the kind of PC compared to consoles, I think the day they release, they will be quite high tier. I think they'll be one of the best gaming experiences out there. But you have a look at the development process and how long it takes to come out with these new consoles. When did the PS4 come out? I think it was 5 years ago.
5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, so you look at that compared to a modern day computer, and they're quite lagging behind in the specs. So I think
2013, November 2013.
2013, yeah. So
holiday seasons of 2013.
That's got 2013
7 years ago.
age technology in it compared to, I can go out and buy a new GPU for my computer right now. So I think the longevity of your technology is constrained by its lack of upgradability.
Do you think the fact that there's so many units sold of these consoles, there are millions of PlayStation 4s, millions of Xbox Series 1, Xbox One, and I presume similar with these ones, there's going to be millions of units sold. Do you think that as a game developer, they're drawn to build for those because there's so many people on those platforms? Or do you think they're more thinking we want to just build this cutting edge game because it can, it can only run on desktop, but that's all right because it has this awesome graphics?
Well, if you're talking about profits, you have to release for them.
Yeah.
There's no sort of option. You can release free games for PC, I guess, and then run off of a microtransaction model. But if you're if you want to get to most gamers, you need to cater to consoles. But
be where the gamers are.
I guess sort of what I keep getting drawn to, what I keep looking at is this new sort of optimization in the consoles. Because if you think about PC, the real biggest problem with PC gaming is the fact that your stuff might not be optimized correctly, and you're going to lose so much performance. If you've ever played a game with just a graphics card that isn't quite there, playing with an AMD graphics card on a NVIDIA game or vice versa, you can really feel it. It just won't run as well. And if we're talking about, the fact, PC for at least a while won't have access to this ultra-fast solid-state drive technology. Whether or not the new controllers will be upgraded in solid states in the future, better controllers and in solid states in the future, that might help bring up speeds, but I feel like a big bit of the problem is bottlenecking through Windows. It just the software will never be able to unlock the full potential of the parts.
The issue is that they have a lead at the moment. I won't argue that, but the issue is as soon as they lose that lead, that's kind of all they have on the performance. They would have lost that lead until they come out with a new console.
So
I mean that's sort of that's always how technology will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have something older, it'll stop being as good. But I feel like this is the first time that consoles have come out and they've been better, or their performance is going to be better than anything you can get on PC.
Significantly.
At least in a competitive price bracket.
Yeah, I was going to say, depending on how much money
you might be.
If you throw 4 Titans and a high tier i7 in.
At a competitive price.
Maybe if you buy enough RAM that you can install the game onto the RAM on the computer, it might be faster.
Well, look,
but
some of those.
That's just not going to be realistic.
If Mac had a gaming PC and they had those,
let's not get started.
1.5 terabytes of RAM there. Well, no, I mean, it brings up an interesting point in terms of non-gaming companies coming out with gaming consoles. The new Google Stadia has been out for a little while now, and this is the idea that the game is being processed in a server farm somewhere, and all the graphical performance and all that is being done off-site, out of your home, so to speak, and then being sent to you via the internet. It does, need a high-ish internet speed. I think Google says 30 megabits a second, which is achievable by a lot of people, but sustainable is not always the way. But again, they are on a subscription-based $9.99 a month US. And they have some pretty big titles. They have the new Doom, and they have Red Dead Redemption 2, and they've got some big titles in there. Do you think that is the future of gaming, the streaming, or do you think that PlayStation and Xbox was smart to keep the graphics and everything in-house, like in your physical house, I guess?
Oh, I guess we're nowhere near to that taking over, but it could be very viable soon, especially for games that don't rely on ultra fast performance. If you're running games that aren't like competitive online games, it could be really good. I guess the only problem right now is that most people just don't have an internet connection that's good enough.
Do you think it's possible for a company like Google, just sheer amount of money that they have, to get it working because they can, run it at a loss and just keep pumping money into it, get all these big contracts? For example, like, if Google Stadia decided or made a deal with the new Grand Theft Auto, and it was exclusive to Stadia, I mean, that'd bring millions of users to. Oh,
that'd be huge traffic.
Stadia. Do you think that's what it would take to get this sort of technology off the ground, and then people would buy faster internet because they need to run this new Google Stadia, or do you think it's just,
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily that people aren't buying fast enough internet, but rather the infrastructure's just not there yet.
Yeah, I think
most people haven't got over 100 megabits a second on their internet plan.
With the rollout of 5G and the new Wi-Fi standards coming a bit more mainstream, I think that'll definitely help. But I don't think it's a one fixed solution. I think it's gonna need the faster internet, the exclusive games, maybe a bit more popularity and marketing to really get it off the ground. And Google's solution is definitely not the first time this has been done. This has been a pipe dream of many tech companies for a lot of years now. But I think Google has, like you said, the overhead to be able to play the long game, and has the best shot at.
They have the overhead and the infrastructure,
Yeah. I mean, there were rumours that the new Xbox, before the Series X was announced and before the PlayStation 5 was announced, that these both were going to be, streaming boxes, essentially.
I think the next generation probably will be.
I wonder if
there'll be an option for something like that for sure.
One generation too early, as they sometimes are. But it'll be interesting when it, like you said, the 5G does make the internet quicker, and Google's been just sitting there in the background, just waiting, building up this infrastructure, building up these warehouses of graphics performance, just waiting to pump it out. I'm sure PlayStation and Xbox have looked at them and gone, we know what they're doing, but they've got a lot of money. They could at any minute just go, bam, there you go. Here's, a contract with whatever company, Fortnite, whatever, and pull Fortnite.
Especially since,
to them.
A fair few people are running Androids. A lot of people have Chromecasts in their houses. You got the tablets, the Chromebooks. The hardware's already there in place. They just need to roll out the software, which is what they're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think do you think any other company? I mean, Google has lots of money, but do you think there's any other company like Apple that has the ability to do the same? Like, I mean, there's been rumors for a little while that Apple is going to bring out a gaming desktop. I mean,
I think Apple's an interesting one, considering they're coming out with those new ARM chips over traditional, the traditional Intel, what?
Yeah,
x86 architecture. Yeah. Those new chips are going to really be a bit of a mix-up. I wonder if, these game companies are even willing to invest in, developing their games for that different architecture. And
yeah, I mean, they have the money to say, all right, Rockstar Games, who produces Red Dead and this sort of Red Dead Redemption stuff, all right, we'll pay you X amount of billions, produce it for our platform. There you go.
Yeah, I think Apple has the potential to, they can make some very efficient machines, especially if they're making their processors in-house. They'll be able to unlock every bit of power available there.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll be very efficient machines. But
would you jump over to the
cloud gaming?
The old Apple gaming?
Cloud gaming, it has to be Apple gaming. Depends on how good it is.
Would you make the leap then? I know you're sitting a bit reserved there. You don't want to say anything too bad about them.
We'll see what the future has in hold.
Look, I'm going to be laughing when the only gaming company is Apple. That'd be a bit of a day, wouldn't it?
Yeah. When hell freezes over, we'll see you there.
Yeah, right,
Amazon gaming will be the next thing.
Well, yeah,
Amazon has all the cloud computing.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about, if we're talking about cloud computing, I think Amazon's going to be big in it. Or at least they'll be supplying a lot of that computing power.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing that sort of divides up PlayStation and Xbox at the moment and continuing through to these new gaming consoles is VR. So the PlayStation 5 has a VR headset that comes on with it, and the Microsoft's Xbox doesn't. Now, Microsoft has their HoloLens, which is a AR VR combo, kit, but it's not supported by Xbox. Do you think that will sway people one way or the other?
They still have the Kinect though, because they were rocking the Kinect.
Don't know. I don't know if they have a Kinect for even Xbox One. I will just have a look. Xbox One. Let's have a look. I don't think so. Oh, yes. Yeah, no, they do. They do have it. Xbox One Kinect, $80. Yeah. I think it's dropped in popularity. They've really tried to push it on the 360. The 360, but again, that's not, it's kind of, I guess that's going the opposite direction to VR. It's like taking things out of your hands rather than putting more things in. I look at it like, the Kinect, you don't need a controller at all because it follows your body and as your hand move, whereas VR's almost the opposite. It's giving you more things to put in your body and add to your person. I mean, possibly a combination of the two could be interesting, but they haven't announced. Yeah, they haven't announced. Xbox hasn't announced any plans to bring out a VR headset, and I wonder if the VR.
I think that'd be the next move for them. That'd be the next move for them, wouldn't it? Well, PlayStation has a pretty cheap option.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like if you have a PlayStation and you kind of want to dabble in VR, the PlayStation VR really is not that expensive.
And it's actually pretty good for the price point as well.
Yeah. I think it's sort of comparable to the sort of Oculus Rift and stuff. So it comes in here's a full package with the headset and 5 games. It comes in at $469, which, I mean, compared to the Oculus Rift the Oculus Quest, which is sort of the standalone headset by Oculus, that's coming in 113 on Amazon at the moment. That's Australian dollars. So, it's $350 cheaper. I wonder if that'll bring people over.
So I think the biggest thing for me is that VR just doesn't have that many games right now. Obviously, in the future, that'll definitely change. But it seems like the type of games that are on it and just the amount, it's not very big. How many AAA VR games have there been? Like the only notable one that springs to mind right now is Half-Life, and while it's a good VR game, I don't know if I'd call it a good game.
There are AAA titles in VR, but they're poor. They're designed from the ground up to be VR, so there's not that massive publicity behind them that gets everyone excited for releases. Yeah. It's mainly focused in the community. Whereas, like you said, I think there needs to be some more of those mainstream titles either have a VR part of their game or design their games from the ground up to have
be both VR and client. I was kind of, when sort of VR sort of kicked off like a couple of years ago, I was a little bit like, surely like your Red Deads and your GTAs and your, Fortnites, whatever. I was convinced there was going to be one of those companies that was just going to go, we're going VR. We're doing this. We're banking on it. Maybe it's we're going to release two of the exact same game, one VR version, one non-VR version, and it just kind of didn't happen. It just kind of.
I feel like it was a bit like cat and mouse. It was like the VR was waiting for the big gaming titles, and the gaming titles were waiting for the VR to catch up, and it kind of just. Well, so this war kept going until nothing really eventuated.
Yeah, and I think, Oculus got bought out by Facebook, and I think if they didn't, that cat and mouse game could have killed them. Because it would have been like, okay, we can't get enough people onto our platform because no one's building games for us, but we don't have any money because we don't have enough people on our platform. It's this catch-22 of just like, like you say, cat and mouse, just like, okay, this awesome technology.
No one wants to take the first step. Yeah,
this awesome technology.
Not my favorite company, but it's good. It's good they got some funding. Yeah,
they got bailed out a little bit, I think, by Facebook. But I wonder if this VR, PlayStation VR, if some people start developing some titles now. These PlayStations are pushing some serious frame rates. If the next generation of VR headset for PlayStation is sort of 8K screens, 120 hertz, or 4K screens, 120 hertz monitors per eye kind of thing. That's getting some quality screen like VR headsets onto people's heads. Yeah. I wonder if that is the kick it needs. But and again, it's that's that argument.
I think
optimize for your platform.
It's like what happened. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it the good VR game or the good headset?
Oh, the good headset. Well, exactly.
that springboarded it.
Yeah. One more thing, and I know this is a touchy subject for a lot of gamers, but
oh no.
But gaming controller versus keyboard.
Oh, jeez. Really? Touchy subject in this podcast.
And this is going back to a little bit of that, can consoles ever take over PCs? Is that a big thing holding them back?
I mean, I think it's something that Xbox has actually been moving towards, enabling people to just use a keyboard and mouse. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a feature that ends up coming out for these new consoles. Just like, accessories or like keyboard mouse accessories or, just enabling people to plug it in and play games with them.
Yeah.
The big problem is, well, you can't run, controller players against keyboard players in any sort of competitive game because the keyboard and mouse will always be better unless they give the controllers some sort of advantage.
Yeah, and that's where they add things like sort of auto aiming if you have system aiming if you have a controller.
Yeah, if you're a real gamer and you played Fortnite, you would. There was a period where they introduced
cross-platform.
complete cross-platform, and that allowed PC players to start queuing up with console players, and it'd be a big mixed bunch of people playing on their phones, people playing on their consoles, and people playing on their PCs. And as you'd probably guess at the beginning, the PC players would just wipe the floor with everyone because there's no competition there. There's no way you can fight back if you're on your phone or something. But what they ended up implementing and adjusting slowly was, we'll give the console players a little bit more aim assist. We'll give them a little bit less.
We'll just forget about the people on phones. Just why are you playing Fortnite on a phone?
Come on, if you're playing a video game on a phone, what are you doing?
You're trying to play competitively.
Come on. Yeah, you're not going to play competitively on a phone.
Each to their own, I guess.
I guess you could technically plug in a keyboard and mouse into your phone and play.
Yeah, into some of the Androids. I mean, look.
Yeah, you could get a little USB-C dock.
You're coming very close to this Google Stadia idea there. You're floating very close.
It's getting close. It's getting close there.
Very mobile gaming. But what do you think, Ben? Do you think they'll always be limited by their controllers, consoles?
So I'm very much a controller player. Mm-hmm. I do play, but I do play a lot of PC gaming, and I am forever getting myself killed or just doing weird stuff in the game because I hit a wrong key. Yep. And the ergonomics are just so much nicer with the controller. But I think if I was a competitive gamer and I was taking it seriously, I totally understand why people pick a mouse and a keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, another example kind of coming out soon, at least. If you two may not have played League of Legends, but as a MOBA, it's something that uses a large amount of the keyboard. Mm-hmm. You're using about 15 keys, maybe 12 to 15 different keys for everything you'll be doing in game. Well, no, they're coming out with a console version. But yeah, as you said, you can't do everything on a keyboard. And so what they've done is they fundamentally changed the game. It functions in almost a completely different way with the way they've changed the controls to fit a game console controller over a keyboard.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, it's completely changed the game.
Yeah, right. Well, we're gonna have to keep an eye on when the final announcement for the prices come out for these two. It should be interesting. So, I mean, we've got a couple of months still. They're planned for the 2020 holidays. So I'm guessing somewhere around that November time, similar to the PlayStation when it was released, and the Xboxes are always Christmas
holidays 2020.
Yeah. But if anyone's interested in anything we've talked about, check everything in the show notes. We'll chuck some stuff down there about these consoles and this Google Stadia and this possible leaks and rumours about the new Apple console.
Just before we head off to, maybe want to give a bit of a teaser about what you're going to be doing early in the morning today, Simeon?
Look, I might have to be staying up Tuesday morning for WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference.
Oh, you and your Apple fanboys.
Oh, look, I'll stop it. I will be buying an Apple gaming desktop if they come out with one. That is not my fault. No, all jokes aside, but it's very exciting. They possibly are actually going to be talking about some new Apple desktops and the new iOS.
New Apple desktops, new processors.
Yeah, possibly new processors. Well, maybe we
should have a bit to talk about with that.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do an episode on that soon. But like I was saying before, we're going down to a couple of, once a fortnight, some slightly longer form stuff just for these holidays. But we might slip a quick 20-minute episode in there sometime.
Oh, you just won't be able to resist, will you, Simeon?
Oh, look, I might have to do one without you boys.
He's going to have to talk to someone.
Yeah, I might have to do one without you boys because I know you'll just beat me down too much on the Apple chip stuff. But no, it's been good to chat to you this week, boys. We'll catch up soon. But
catch you on the next one.
Speak to you.
All right. See you guys on the next episode.
See you guys. Bye.